Hey! Here's a new game I just got recently. It's Pac-Man 4K for the Atari 2600, and it's an excellent homebrew version of Pac-Man, squeezed into a meager 4K ROM. Available at Atari Age, it comes on this awesome-looking cartridge and includes an equally nice-looking manual. And when placed into your 2600 or 7800, it will look and sound like this. You know, I guess Pac-Man is a really compelling character, 'cause over 30 years after his first appearance, there's still people making and buying new games centered around that hungry yellow dude. And Pac-Man 4K addresses a need for a quality Pac-Man port on the Atari 2600. It's pretty well known that Atari's own release of Pac-Man back in the early 80s was not the best port. Taken on its own, it actually isn't a terrible game, but as a Pac-Man clone, it's a long ways away from being edible. Pac-Man 4K, on the other hand, is quite nourishing and is far more Pac-Man-ish than Atari's effort. The sound effects are much more accurate to the arcade, and the maze layout and colors are vivid and true to the original. I should note that this footage doesn't really do justice to how the game looks on a television, especially a CRT. Pac-Man and the ghosts flicker continuously, but it's at a constant rate, which I think works well because your mind just tunes it out, rather than having the distraction of intermittent flickering. But this effect doesn't look as good in recorded footage, and the colors look kind of muted. But on a CRT, it's excellent and the colors really pop. Pac-Man 4K's graphical style is great, Pac-Man looks quite handsome, and I really like the look of the ghosts. It seems influenced by the Atari 8-bit computer / 5200 version, but with more rounded edges. And the fruit we have all come to know and love and eat look quite attractive. The behavior of the ghosts is also supposed to be somewhat similar to the original, but I'm not a Pac-Man expert, so I can't really tell. All I know is that the game plays great, with responsive controls, and the ghosts provide enough challenge for me. The only gameplay flaw I can think of is that occasionally you'll make contact with a ghost, but it won't kill you. This doesn't happen that often, though. Something missing from Pac-Man 4K are the animated cutscenes, but there's only so much that can be fit into a tiny 4K ROM. I mean, let's really look at this in detail. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4K. That's not a lot of K. I think it's less than 10, a lot less. So there just isn't room for all the extras. Maybe one day there'll be a Pac-Man 32,000 million K with all the animations, but for now, Pac-Man 4K really delivers in the most important area, which is the gameplay. If this was the version Atari released in 1981, it would have been huge. People would have come down with a case of Pac-Man influenza, or strep throat. Some Pac-Man related ailment, maybe alopecia, I don't know. But regardless, they would have been so engrossed in the game that they wouldn't care. And neither should you. If you got a 2600 and like Pac-Man and homebrews, risk your health and give Pac-Man 4K a look.